Larethiel was a haven. Nestled amidst the Whisperwood, it pulsed with ancient magic. Elven homes crafted from living trees hummed with life. Waterfalls sang, their melody a soothing balm. Laughter echoed through the marketplace, filled with vibrant tapestries and sweet floral scents. It was a place of peace, a testament to the elves' deep connection with nature. But even in paradise, shadows lurked. A creeping unease had settled over the village. The once vibrant flora wilted, their vibrant hues fading to a sickly grey. The waterfalls, once a symphony of sound, slowed to a trickle. The air, once sweet, now held a bitter tang. Fear, silent and insidious, began to grip the hearts of the villagers. The air in the Elderwood crackled with tension. The ancient trees, their branches usually swaying gently in the breeze, stood rigid, as if holding their breath. The council members, their faces drawn and pale, whispered amongst themselves. At the head of the gathering stood Elder Ilara, her eyes usually sparkling with life, now dimmed with worry. Elder Ilara, the lifeblood of Larethiel is fading. The magic that sustains us is waning. A collective gasp went through the council. The magic of Larethiel was their life force, their connection to nature, their very essence. Without it, they were lost. Elder Ilara, we must find the source of this blight, and we must find it quickly, before it consumes us all. Her eyes fell upon two figures standing at the edge of the circle. Endriks, a skilled warrior, and Kerry, a young mage of extraordinary talent. Elder Ilara, Endriks Kerry, this mission falls to you. Endriks, his hand resting on the hilt of his sword, nodded solemnly. His heart ached for his home, for the fear that clouded the eyes of his people. He would not fail them. Kerry, her fingers tracing the runes etched on her staff, met his gaze. Her young face, usually alight with mischief, was set in a mask of determination. Together, they would save Larethiel. Preparations were swift. Endriks donned his leather armor, each piece polished to a shine. His sword, forged in the heart of a dying star, hummed with anticipation. Kerry checked her supplies, herbs for healing, crystals for amplifying her magic, and a satchel filled with scrolls containing ancient spells. Their task was perilous, but they were ready. As they prepared to leave, Elder Ilara approached them, her face etched with a mixture of hope and worry. Elder Ilara, the fate of Larethiel rests on your shoulders. May the ancient magic guide you. With a final, heartfelt farewell, Endriks and Kerry turned and walked towards the edge of the village, their silhouettes outlined against the fading light of the setting sun. Ahead of them lay the Whisperwood, its depths holding both beauty and danger. Their quest had begun. Section 5. Into the Whisperwood. The Whisperwood lived up to its name. The trees, ancient and gnarled, pressed close, their branches intertwining overhead to create a canopy so thick that only slivers of sunlight pierced through. The air hung heavy, thick with the scent of damp earth and decaying leaves. The silence was absolute, broken only by the rustling of unseen creatures and the occasional snap of a twig underfoot. Endriks, his senses on high alert, led the way, his hand never straying far from his sword. He moved with the grace of a seasoned hunter, his steps silent and sure. Kerry followed close behind, her staff held before her like a beacon. Her eyes, bright with magic, scanned their surroundings, searching for any sign of the blight that plagued their home. Days turned into nights. The forest seemed to stretch on forever, a labyrinth of twisting paths and hidden dangers. Still, they pressed on, their determination fueled by their love for Larethiel. They encountered strange and wondrous creatures, some helpful, some hostile. They crossed rushing rivers and scaled treacherous cliffs, each step bringing them closer to their goal. Section 6. Whispers of Magic. The air grew heavy, thick with latent magic. The trees around them seemed to pulse with an unseen energy. Kerry stumbled, her hand flying to her head as a wave of dizziness washed over her. "Something's here," she whispered, her voice tight with apprehension. "Something powerful." Endriks drew his sword, its blade glowing faintly in the dim light. He could feel it too, a tingling sensation that ran down his spine. It was like the forest itself was holding its breath, waiting for something to happen. They pushed forward cautiously, their senses on high alert. Then they saw it. Nestled at the base of a giant oak tree, half hidden by a tangle of roots and vines, lay a small, ornate box. It pulsed with an inner light, a beacon in the oppressive darkness of the forest. The source of the magic, Kerry realized, her heart pounding in her chest. This was what they had been searching for. Section 7. The Path Revealed. The box, crafted from a silvery metal that shimmered under Kerry's touch, was cold to the touch. Intricate runes, their meaning lost to time, were etched into its surface. Endriks, his gaze fixed on the box, felt a sense of foreboding wash over him. This was no ordinary artifact. Kerry, her fingers tracing the runes, closed her eyes and focused. She could feel the magic thrumming beneath her fingertips, ancient and powerful. As she chanted softly, the runes began to glow, bathing her face in an ethereal light. The box trembled, then slowly, silently, it opened. Inside, nestled on a bed of crimson velvet, lay a single crystal tear. It pulsed with a light that seemed to shift and change, reflecting all the colours of the rainbow. As Kerry reached for it, a wave of energy erupted from the box, throwing both her and Endriks backwards. When the light faded, the forest around them had changed. The trees had parted, revealing a path that led towards a towering structure in the distance. The ruins, Kerry realised, her heart pounding with a mixture of fear and excitement. The path was open. Section 8. Echoes of the Past. The ruins were ancient, their once grand towers now crumbling and overgrown with vines. Broken columns reached towards the sky like skeletal fingers, their surfaces etched with faded murals depicting scenes of a glorious past. An unnatural silence hung over the place, broken only by the whisper of the wind and the rustle of their own footsteps. A shimmering barrier, its surface alive with arcane symbols, sealed the entrance to the main structure. Endriks drew his sword, its blade humming with power, but Kerry stopped him. "This won't work," she said, her voice tight with apprehension. "This barrier is powered by something ancient, something dark." Closing her eyes, Kerry focused her will. The crystal tear, now resting in the palm of her hand, pulsed in time with her heartbeat. She could feel the ancient magic of the ruins calling to her, beckoning her forward. With a whispered word and a surge of power, she directed the tear's energy towards the barrier. It flared brightly, then with a sound like shattering glass, it vanished. The path to the heart of the ruins, and the answers they sought, lay open before them. The air within the ruins was thick with the dust of ages and the weight of forgotten magic. Endriks and Kerry moved cautiously through the echoing halls, their footsteps the only sound in the oppressive silence. They finally arrived at a vast chamber, its walls lined with shelves stacked high with ancient tomes and scrolls. In the center of the chamber, resting on a pedestal of black obsidian, lay a book unlike any other. Its cover, crafted from some unknown metal, was devoid of any markings, yet pulsed with a faint inner light. As Kerry reached out to touch it, a voice, cold and ancient, echoed through the chamber. "So, the descendants of the first ones return," it hissed. "You seek answers, but be warned, some secrets are best left buried." Ignoring the warning, Kerry opened the book. As her fingers brushed against the first page, the words ignited, springing to life in a blinding flash of light. Images flooded her mind, visions of a powerful artifact, a weapon capable of unimaginable destruction. An artifact that had been corrupted, its power twisted for evil. An artifact that was the source of the blight slowly killing Larethiel. Endriks, catching her as she swayed, his face etched with concern, asked, "What did you see?" Kerry, her voice trembling with a mixture of fear and determination, met his gaze. "The key to saving our home," she whispered, her eyes fixed on the ancient tome, now glowing with an eerie light, "and a darkness that threatens to consume us all." Their quest had just begun.